Dealing with the root of the issues. It's The Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, so as I discussed a couple of minutes ago, we're going to turn the platform over to our next guest, who has been a longtime friend, mentor, and somebody who I've enjoyed talking about sports and life and beyond with, Exavier Pope. He's a lawyer. He hosts one of the best podcasts. Hopefully you're subscribed. The Suit Up podcast. You can read him at Forbes, and everything from issues to in our society to sports to beyond. We've had a chance to chat with Pope, and I'm grateful for his time. And Exavier, as always, I appreciate you and you spending some time with us on this program. And as I said before the segment, I wanted to just open this up. This is not a typical interview. This is not me throwing questions at you. And this is the platform, and it's an open platform. It's one of the still remaining pure platforms we have in radio. So I'll ask you a question. It's your time. It's your platform. You talk as long as you want. I'll fill in some cracks if you want to take a breath or want to pause for a second. But I'll just ask you a very simple question. How are you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm energized. I got to tell you, I'm really energized. I'm fired up. And that's just based on some self-work that I've done. You know me, Eitan, you know that I'm really, what's important to me is really like yoga, mindfulness, exercise, fitness, and all that stuff like that. So before this whole COVID-19 stuff broke out, you know, I just kept my daily practice of meditation and yoga and keeping my positivity. And so that's kept me, and I've continued it even through this period. And what I've tried to do is COVID touched me in a different way than this. So COVID, yes, it was something that impacted my personal life, but it was something that I could apply my general knowledge of the world, you know, clients, what work needs to get done, organize my schedule, organize my personal space in my home, and work around what was going on. And frankly, as a black person, I grew up in the hood, foster kid on my own at 13 and going to high school on my own and seeing kids, you know, seeing people shot, stabbed, killed, you know, my two best buddies growing up, they, you know, wanted to turn into drugs, you know, kid down the street, serving life for murder. And I have to mention this, Eitan. When I was 16 years old, I was only 2 blocks from the place I was living in. I was mugged at gunpoint in my stomach, and I was afraid to leave the house for 2 weeks. And I wanted to get the hell up out of that hood. And I longed for the day that I could live in a decent neighborhood. I never wanted to go back to the hood. And I actually had a disdain for the hood because of all the different things that happened there, even having to fight my way up out of gangs. And so I lived in a condition where people were already afraid to go outside. And so I had already overcome a lot of that in my life, just personally. And I feel like many African Americans who achieve past getting past these difficult and dangerous situations, I believe so, were better prepared for COVID because they had a situation where they were already lived in a society at one point that made them afraid to go outside. So this is like, oh, this is nothing. Like I just had to move around my schedule, you know. That's what it was for me. So I wasn't as traumatized as a lot of people were, frankly, about it. And so I had a general sense to be above it. But when this happened, Eitan, this impacted me differently. This was something that was a little bit more personal to me. And many people may have seen from my Twitter timeline, I went right in the middle of the protest here in Chicago. Was right there on the front lines between police and protesters, filmed it, saw the tension, saw how police responded. Different police, some police responded really positively, and then they're very friendly. Some of them were antagonistic. Some of the protesters were antagonistic. Some of the Some of the protesters were friendly. Some of the protesters seemed to be like they were like Antifa. Some of the protesters seemed like they were white supremacists. Some of the protesters seemed like they were young white kids from the suburbs that just want to like break shit to cosplay, some sort of video games they had been playing. There are some, a lot of millennials that were down there, and they were like singing and doing poetry, and they had that type of thing going on. It was so many different elements, and getting to see how the press also portrayed what was happening, but I also saw cop cars destroyed, flipped over, and Aton, to see the faces of some of the people who destroyed those cop cars when they destroyed them, and see in their faces, there wasn't the face of joy or of evil or malice. It was the face of releasing pain. Some of these people, I saw it, and if you own, I saw it with my own two eyes, and I can't put into words what that felt like to see a young black man, shirt off, jumping on top of a hood of a police car, and like you could see that he was almost crying as he did it, releasing that pain, and that's something that would never leave me, and so.
Take your time.
I was good. I practiced yoga. I ran for 202 miles. I got on my grill to barbecue, and I was like, I'm trying to deal with this. And it's like all that stuff that I saw and how ugly the country has to get. To people that actually believe this shit is fucked up for certain people in our world. Yeah. I'm sorry I'm cursing, man.
I know.
I know. I'm sorry.
We have to bleep that. That's all. Just know that.
Bleep it. All right, go bleep it. Go ahead, bleep it. But this is how I feel.
I know.
To get to a place in our society where things have to get this ugly.
Yeah.
For people to be like, yo, we believe you. And so I cried as hard as I possibly could because I've navigated through a lot of different hurdles in my life as a black man. It just kept, as a black person, just like, okay, the whole bootstrap stuff, because a lot of us that are high performing, we try to buy into that stuff and succeed our way out of racism. Oh, I just got to pick my head up and keep moving. You just keep going. But that's how I felt. I'm great now. I had a good cry. I got a good sleep in it. I woke up, picked my head up, thank God for another day and another opportunity to pursue my purpose. And I did what a lot of black people do: pick their head up and keep moving, try to live the best life they can. So that's how I feel right now.
Exavier, the emotion and just the discussion that you provide and open up is real, and I appreciate that, and I know a lot of people appreciate just the raw emotion and what you've been feeling for decades, your entire life building up. I will ask you one question because I know that our time is, we have a chance to speak, so I want to make sure that people listening understand what's happened in the past, which is a movement doesn't die or get pushed back or stop because of the people leading it. It's the exterior forces around it. So how can, and I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing this question because you were asked after Eric Garner, you were asked after Philando Castile, you were asked after Alton Sterling, you were asked after Amadou Diallo. I mean, the names go on. I'm sure you were asked this same question. And maybe now with social media and maybe now with more people seeing stuff with their own eyes and not have to rely on TV or papers or what have you, how do we avoid this thing not getting stopped, halted, so that unfortunately we have to re-educate the next time a tragedy like George Floyd's murder happens again?
Y'all white folks better be lucky. There's a lot of black people who love this country enough to be able to explain things to y'all. Real talk. Seriously, black people are the biggest patriots around. Listen to any hip-hop song. I mean, they shouting out every neighborhood, every city you can think of. There's no genre of music where America is celebrated more than hip-hop. Black people love America. You know why? Because we built this thing. Our ancestors built it and then told their kids how hard they had to work to build the country. So when people try to, slavery was a long time ago, for us, it's every day because we are reminded by the people who came before us all the different things that they had to deal with. And they pass down these stories about what happened to them and what happened. And so there's a shared understanding of a culture that we actually share with each other. And I feel like the wider society, and I posted a video discussing with white people about this. No matter how cool you get with a black person, they may even we good, man. You know, there's a piece of the relationship that's missing because they, in their heart of hearts, don't feel that you really believe them in terms of their lived experience about being black. There's people that I thought I was really cool with after the election in 2016. They kind of changed a little bit. And the conversations weren't really about justice. They were really more so about framing my blackness in a way that basically delegitimized my whole entire experience of being black. And so it's the belief that's really important. And it's not people are asking themselves, Eitan, what is about this specific murder that's driving what's happening in society? And black people, you talk to one of us, we get that right away. And it's not naming all the names of people who have been killed, by the way. It's actually naming all the different things that have happened to you in your life in terms of how now you're understanding that now there are higher rates of deaths from COVID. 100,000 people have died. Many people that are black know. I personally, Eitan, I grew up a foster kid. There are two people that grew up in my foster home. Two of them, they were in a nurse. One was in a nursing home. One was in an assisted living facility and died.
Yeah, you shared that.
And
with
then
us.
you had people that had guns that went to state capitals. The state capital of Michigan, Eitan, was closed because of these people.
Right.
No tear gas was shot at them. No president sweeping the streets and promising law and order. As a matter of fact, he tweeted for citizens of Virginia to rise up against their own government. So it's okay for white people, if they don't like how the government is treating them, to go walk and march to the Capitol with guns. But if any measure of people, black, mixed, whatever, decide to stand up for a system that has historically put them last, now it's un-American, now it's domestic terrorism, now it's framing everything in terms of looters. So now we are having a national discussion about looting, which is basically coming to a general stereotype about black people about stealing shit. Yes, leak me again. Because guess what? Many of us have had the experience of walking around in a store and being followed. It's happened. The experience of being black happens so often, Eitan. We forget how many interactions we have on a regular basis because we have to discard them because we have to live and we have to have proper mental health walking around trying to be who we want to be in the world. No, this doesn't make you a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm far from a victim. And I hear all this victim mentality. Yes, we are victims, but we don't have a victim mentality. That's a big difference. Because if you are viewing someone as from a victim mentality, then you're basically saying there's nothing that has happened to them. That means you don't believe them. So yes, we are victims of a racist society, but we don't have a victim mentality. Right. We just are victims that we are asking for it to be better, so you can be treated better. So that belief is just extends to a lot of different experiences at the time.
Exavier,
you know, I got a little bit more to add to this because I want people to believe this.
Okay, here's the thing. I've got 90 seconds. I've got 90 seconds because I have a hard break. So it's a
Got it.
So can you? I hate to compartmentalize what you have because this is the
No.
power.
I got this. I
Okay,
got this.
it's all yours. Go ahead, take it.
90 seconds before this hard break. I just wanted to make sure that you understand that there are so many interactions that Black people have on a daily basis that they don't really talk about because they're not believed. That's part of our experience. That contributes to that experience being worse and having to put that down. And we need to have some really open and honest conversations that Black people should be leading them. And congratulations to Aton, a dope dude, for putting me in front to be able to do that.
Exavier, I can't thank you enough for just spending some time with us. That's what you did. You opened up. This was powerful. And anybody listening, it's impossible to not have been moved by it. Thank you, sir.
My man. Love you, bro.
Love you, too. At Exavier Pope is how you follow him on Twitter. We'll wrap the hour next on The Second Level.